folks, Linda here from Back Third Acre. One of my favorite things to do is to plan my garden out in the springtime. So getting all of my seed packages ready and dream up what I'm going to be able to grow throughout the summer. It's even better when I have some success in growing them. So this year I planted a whole variety of different peppers, and one of the ones that I wanted to grow really badly for the first time was these are paprika peppers. So I have a great crop here in front of me. I got my seeds from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, and no, there's no paid endorsement or anything. This is the first time I've tried their seeds and I'm very happy with the outcome. So I am going to make smoked paprika for the first time. So one of our favorite things to do is to make seasonings with some of the things that we grow, and join me and I'll show you how we do it. Paprika peppers are a medium to hot pepper, so you might want to use gloves if you're working with them, because the worst thing that can happen after you've handled peppers is you inadvertently touch your eye or rub your nose or anything, and then you get that everlasting burn for a few hours, and it can be difficult to get rid of. So if you're sensitive to that heat like I am, then put on your gloves. So you can just take your peppers, and once you put your gloves on, and you can just gently cut off the end. I save every little piece of it. So even the little end pieces, I keep those. And I have a separate can here that I put them into because I'm going to smoke mine. So then all of the peppers can stay in there, and I can take them outside and pop them in the smoker. For smoking, you definitely want to cut them open so that you're exposing the meat part on the inside. If you smoked them without cutting them and you just have the outer skin, then the smoke doesn't have as much to adhere to, so you're not going to get as much of a smoky flavor. So I'm going to cut them again so there's plenty of the meat side showing. I'm just going to go through a whole bunch of them here. So I'm in zone 9B, and I started these peppers growing inside under a grow light back in end of March, early April. So they grew inside the house for quite a lengthy period of time. About over 10 degrees during the nighttime temperatures, which meant that seemed to take a long time this year for us to hit that temperature. So they went into the greenhouse first, but they were definitely substantial in size while still growing in the house. I was wondering if I was ever going to be able to get them outside just because we had such a cool spring this year, but eventually they did. When I put them in the greenhouse, they did incredibly well. I tried a few different methods this year. One of them was the greenhouse, the other was on our sun deck up here, and then also some in the garden bed themselves. And I definitely noticed a big improvement once our temperatures warmed up here, having them up on my deck, because they get more heat. I did have some sun scald happen, which you do need to be careful when you're growing peppers. So I got the sun scald on them, and that wrecked a few because we had a heat wave here. I'm in British Columbia, Canada. So we had a pretty wicked and unusual heat dome this year. So my peppers got some sun scald, and then I added some shade cover to them so that they were protected a bit more. But even compared to in the greenhouse, the deck was definitely the place to grow them, and they will be growing there next year for sure as well, because just the size of the plant was far superior to planting them directly in the ground, and I could control them a little bit more. So here we go, we got a nice tray of paprikas ready to go. So I'm gonna go and get the smoker ready to put these in. So I use the Little Chief electric smoker, and for our traditional Hungarian paprika, it is suggested that you use oak chips. However, those seem to be very difficult to find, as I haven't been able to find any. So I'm using alder chips instead, and hoping that that doesn't affect the taste too much. So once these come out of the smoker, they are going to be fairly dry, but they still need to go into the dehydrator because they need to completely snap and crumble when you bend them. If you don't do that, see, these are a little bit too just bendy and a little flexible, they really need to crack and snap when you bend them, to ensure that when you grind them into a fine pepper, that it doesn't kind of gum up your machine or just turn more into a paste. So these are going to go into the dehydrator now, and they're going to be, these are pretty dry from the smoker, so they're not going to take more than a few short hours, but you definitely need to make sure that they're thoroughly dry. Let's talk about grinders for a few minutes. This is the type here, a multi-speed grinder that we use, and we grind peppers regularly, at least a few times a year. So if you're grinding particularly really hot peppers, you may want to consider this type of a grinder versus your typical coffee grinder, which we used in the beginning. But when you're grinding very fine hot peppers, what happens is you're getting a lot of wasted pepper residue throughout the coffee grinder. It's not just staying in the nice little cup, it's spilling out over onto the sides. And if you're doing either really hot peppers, the risk of inhaling that is definitely a factor worth considering. So this type over here has the locking mechanism, and a very fine grind, and can grind extremely difficult things, including nuts and seeds. So it can handle some heavy duty stuff, but because the top of it clamps down and seals very tight, then you don't have it flying around the room. So the peppers are thoroughly dry now. They break into a nice little snap, so we know that they're perfectly ready. So this is going to lock things down so it stays nice and tight and no leakage of powder. Not quite done yet. I'm going to add the rest of the paprikas over here now that the volume is down. Let's take a peek. So there we go. We got some nice finely ground paprika. The trick with these spice grinders is to use as little amount of grinding time as necessary. If you do too much and are overzealous with it, then it heats up the spice and makes it too cakey. So just using minimal amount and checking it frequently is recommended. These machines are about $100 Canadian, so they're not too pricey. You can also use them to grind your coffee beans if you like. All right, so now I'm going to take this out of the grinder and put it into the jar. I like to use a small paintbrush in order to do this. So it's a really effective way of getting all of the pepper residue. I'd also suggest using a mask as there's lots of dust that this kicks up and can get into your lungs. Oh, this is perfect. It's looking beautiful. Such a beautiful orange color. And it smells fantastic. I use a smooth metal funnel as well. It just gives the powders less place to get stuck in and for you to be able to get more for all of your efforts. There. So check out that lovely color in there. It's just beautiful. So as the peppers continue to ripen in batches throughout the season, I will continue to add to this. So here's our final product, a traditional Hungarian smoked paprika made with the Leutschauer Paprika Peppers, grown here at Back Third Acre, smoked and then dehydrated and ground into the fine seasoning that you see here. I am so excited to give this a try, and if you like this content, please like and subscribe. Thank you.